no place to submit the broadcast or papers, so I guess IT is trying to fix it. So I guess check back in. I guess I can just email this link to Brother Friss. I can probably just do that. So anyway, you're on, Tamara. You go, girl.
Okay. I have my accountability project, and I wrote my little stuff out on my questions and self-examine and self-assess. And I guess, my accountability, I decided I wanted to be, I don't have big goals or dreams anymore. I guess you could say mine is just to make it day by day at this point in time in my life. That's kind of how I look at it, because my life is half over anyway. And so I figured I just need to survive day by day. And so I chose goals that would help me just take it one day at a time. And so mine were pretty simple. It was to say my prayers morning and night. It was to exercise daily, except for Saturday and Sunday, and if some holiday during the season, twice a week, and then and I started off really good, but by the time the middle of the semester came around and life kind of got in the way, it became a lot more difficult to stick with my goals, because there's so many distractions and so much going on. It was just so hard. And I think it was just very simple things that, I'm supposed to read the Book of Mormon 2 chapters a day too. I forgot about that one. But I show you some things. It's a struggle to even just to want to do my project anymore, because I want to be done. We've had a lot of trials happen in the past few weeks, and to want to do spiritual things when you're going through trials, it's very difficult, because you think, what's the point and what's the purpose? And so, but yeah, the last few weeks have been kind of difficult for me to even finish my project. And so I've done it half-heartedly. Started off strong, kind of went downhill a little bit, and I'm kind of at an even keel where it's more of an assignment now than it is something I need to integrate in my life. Got it all done, but I don't feel like I put as much effort into it as I probably should have. So that's my accountability project.
Thanks, Tamara. Does anybody have any thoughts on Tamara's experience?
Yeah, it's interesting, because when I was preparing mine, I was thinking about the same things along the lines of when life hits us, like what happens to our daily routines and what happens to like just the way that we feel throughout the day. And I definitely resonate with that a lot. I guess I could talk more about it when I present mine, but definitely agree with you. It gets hard.
Yeah.
Tamara, I had some similar experience, and I wanted to come to some type of closure with, why did I do this? And I learned some things about my own strengths and weaknesses and kind of a direction I wanted to go. I knew by the end that I'd bitten off more than I could chew. You get all like, I'm going to, get this done. But in the end, I hope you can take away kind of I learned some stuff. And here's some things I want to look forward to, because that's kind of where I was at too.
I mean, I'll keep doing it because I feel it's important to do. And so I'll keep doing my routine, I guess you could call it, stuff that I've planned out to do my goals. Just because I know it's important to do, not just necessarily the spiritual, but the physical as well. But I don't know, maybe when the semester's over, I might have a little bit more.
Hey,
I don't know.
I guess I was expecting more. Were you? Kind of. I was expecting. I was like, this is a whole semester. This is so many weeks. And we say when you make goals, or try to change habits, you need to you need to commit for a longer period of time. And I just it was interesting. But I guess we'll talk more about it as we each share our experience. But
Yeah.
If you guys don't mind, I'll go ahead and go next, and then Jason, then Trevor, you want to wrap us up when you want to do yours last?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure, that sounds great.
I just typed up an outline. My goals, kind of who I wanted to become, came basically from trying to be well-rounded, healthier physically, healthier spiritually, healthier mentally, and just kind of, I know kind of what I want, but I'm not always super disciplined. I think that's very human. To, like, I have a regular exercise. I like to exercise, but my goals usually, I want to get out 5 days a week, and I usually end out 2 or 3. So one of my goals was to be more consistent with, and more disciplined with that, more consistent and disciplined in my prayer and study. So like that. So my goals broke down to, as far as physical related goals, to have kind of be more mindful of what I eat, when I eat, not eating late at night, getting to bed at a decent hour, making sure I exercise 5 days a week. My spiritual goals were to be more mindful of things I'm grateful for. So write down things I'm grateful for each day, write in my journal more often, attend the temple at least once a month. With the way our life works out, that is a really sad challenge, that it's so hard to get once a month. And I was kind of thinking, well, I'm going to do once a month, and I'll bet you I'll get, with a little bit of discipline, I'll bet I can turn that into 2 times a month. No, it was just everything I could do to get there once a month. But I did it. And the other one was to read my patriarchal blessing during the month more often. That gets neglected. As far as my mental goals, and see, I set way too many goals, but oh well, it's done. I was using kind of TV to kind of come down. Yeah, babe.
I'm feeling a little better, so I might be. So the good news is I might be able to go to school tomorrow.
Oh, well, school tomorrow sounds like a plan. Okay. Sorry. We got sick kids home today. So I will just to kind of get my brain just to numb out, I just sit and binge watch Netflix, and I don't think it's a big deal sometimes to just sit down and watch something just so you don't have to think, but I was overdoing it. So I wanted to reduce that time by at least half, if not more. And then I wanted to shift kind of how I use that time to do more self-developing things, hobbies, reading. I like to write poetry. I like to draw, things like that, to try to shift my focus from, okay, when I'm feeling stressed or I need a break, to do something else besides watch television. So overall, I did really great on the exercise. I feel really good. My 5 days a week have been great. I even made it 6 days sometimes. Just go for a walk with my husband on a Saturday. I didn't record it because I didn't need to, but it was nice to take care of that. But I had a hard time, like, when I filled out my chart, and the no's always seemed to fall into the same areas. They had to do with food and getting to bed, like overdoing it, eating too late, getting to bed too late. That's where I found that I would save up my no's just for those moments. Sometimes I'd be like, I'm gonna do this and this so I can do this, which I thought, well, that's kind of counterproductive. And I noted that in my journal from time to time, and I tried to make adjustment. But I found that my accountability partner, one of them was my husband, and I found that if your accountability partner is affected by your goals, sometimes it affects how helpful they are. So my husband would be like, oh, come on, you can watch, we can just sit down and watch this, we can stay up late just this once. I'm like, you are not helping me. And then of course it kind of broke into the spirit of the goals as well, kind of what's the letter of it, what's the spirit of it, how are you accomplishing it, and then being careful not to justify bad behavior. But one of the things I found interesting was the thing that drove me the most, and I not great. The thing that drove me was the fear. I had chosen something for my consequence that terrifies me, and so I that was my main motivator. In fact, it stressed me out so much. I would go through my goals, not to do the goal itself, but just to. So fear wasn't. I think fear wasn't enough. The fear kept me going. But now that I'm done, I'm like, oh, I'm so glad I don't have to worry about singing in public. That was my thing. I'm like, there's no way I'm going to do that. And so I focus sometimes more on my fear than on my goals. And so I thought it was great to have a consequence, but something would have to shift, to go forward. So some things that I wanted to accomplish, things I did really well. The TV discipline went awesome. I mean, there were some weeks when I got less than 2 hours, which is great. I didn't get to do art as much as I would have liked to, but I did start a book club, which is pretty big deal for someone with social anxiety disorder, Nice. I'm like, look at me, I'm in a book club and we're reading books. And anyway, I have some good friends that help out with that because they know that I'm crazy and whatever. The patterns that were more difficult were the food, getting to bed, and it was really hard to get to the temple. And because it was planned in advance, sometimes I feel like, you get thwarted just because he knows it's coming, you get this adversarial thing going where he's like, okay, this is the day she's gone, so I'm going to make sure that doesn't happen. I don't know. I've heard people talk about stuff like that. I'm like, maybe I just need to go on the fly sometimes. But anyway, that was actually harder than I expected. I think I became more the person I wanted to become just because I had just more meaningful interactions. I didn't cop out of dealing with some things just by zoning out. And I exercised a lot, lost some weight. That was nice. It's always nice to fit better into your clothes. Things I do differently in the future, choose an accountability partner that's on the same page. If they're gonna, someone who wants to do goals with me rather than someone who's like, why can't we do this? I'm like, it's against my goals and I can't sing in public. I thought being more spontaneous in my temple attendance, and I still need to discipline myself with, using food as a comfort all the time. Food just somehow makes me so happy, but we're built that way, right? Right. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much effort did I put into the project? I put a 9. I think I'm close to a 10. I mean, I really worked hard, but I wish that fear hadn't have been the key motivator. I wish that would have been a little different. I didn't think it was enough. What I learned about accountability, that who you choose an accountability partner matters. It was important to be honest. I found myself really struggling some days to be honest with myself, but really wanted to be. So that's something that it's really important with accountability. If you're not honest with yourself, nothing really, you're not going to really accomplish anything. Tracking everything, and oh my gosh, Tamara, I had the same thing. I started off doing really good, and then I just it got so hard. I'm like, I am not enjoying this. I'm struggling. I hoped by this time that this would be like, oh, look, I'm in this great pattern of activating my physical and mental and spiritual health and blah, blah, blah. It's so great. But I was struggling, and it was all I could do to work myself uphill. And I really worked hard that last week so I could feel like, okay, I nailed this down. But I think ultimately I look at it and I think, there's some things that I don't need to have in my goal sheet. There's some definite strengths where I'm like, I did better in that than I realized. But there are definitely some weaknesses that needed to be kind of looked at. And so I kind of use this as an opportunity to say, well, for one, I think I needed to make fewer goals. I think focusing on 1 or 2 things at a time would have been plenty. So, and I felt like the accountability project was set up to create a bunch of goals. Didn't they say like 4 or 5? I don't remember. And that seemed counterproductive in the end. I wish I would have picked easier ones, more attainable maybe. I don't know. I don't know if if it was, my design flaw thinking, that I had to have it, that because I'm thinking of a goal, it has to be this big thing or something, or this mighty change. Maybe sometimes it could be approached as, I need to maintain this small thing and do it a little better. So I think maybe I overdid it, but it takes work to change, not just good intentions. And anyway, I appreciated the process, and definitely feel like it had some positive effects. So anyway, that's my accountability project.
Sweet, thank you.
Yep.
If nobody else has any comments, I guess I could present mine. So I wanted to see if I could do the screen share thing. Let's see if it works. You guys get this? You guys see my sheet?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, cool. So I'll start off by saying I definitely agree with both Tamara and Michelle. There was a time where, okay, at the start, I was like real good with all these yeses, and I felt really good. I felt like I was enlightening my mind and my body and everything. And then I don't know about you guys, but I started to break down, and right about mid-October to end October, and whether it's the fact that Halloween is super negative on me, or I don't know what it is, but I just got a ton of no's, and I was just not doing it. And I remember this time was when I just started to become really bitter about things that were happening as well, external influences into my life that I felt like I couldn't control. And so I kind of do this weird thing where I like try to get the world back. Like, oh, I won't do any of this either. If you're not doing any of this for me, like, I'll just stop doing this good stuff or whatever. And I know it's just silly and stupid, but it makes sense in the moment. So that's one of the things that I've learned. I don't know if you guys felt similarly about this project at some points, but I would just stop doing it because I didn't feel like the universe needed it or something, or it was just a really bitter thing, but that might just be me. But my main goal for this project, I was watching the Andy Griffith Show with my wife a little bit before I took this class, and I was like, I really admired the way that he was so carefree. Andy Taylor was so carefree and worryless, and at the same time, he got so many things done, and he's just like the John Wayne, and I don't know, he was really cool, and I wanted to be more like that. I wanted to strive for those good things, and so I picked a couple of goals that I thought would help add to that kind of character. I knew that like we needed to get yeses on all of our goals all the time, but I also realized that it would only be helpful if it added to my character, because I'm going to be doing these goals. I'm trying to do all of these goals throughout the rest of my life, of course, but I know that I'd be doing them during the semester. So I hoped that they would add to my character. So one of them was, did I complete all of my homework assignments that were due for the next day? And I was so good at that. So I created a percentage of like how well I did, a perfection percentage. So if I didn't get any no's or any excuse no's, I would get 100%. So I rocked that one out because I've just been so on top of it. That's one of the things I realized, that I would start failing, get failing grades in my classes if I didn't complete my homework like 3 days before it was due. I don't know if any of you guys do that, but that really helps me for sure. And then one thing I noticed was there were 2 goals that I had that I didn't do very well on, whether I had a lot of excuse no's or a lot of no's. And that was writing in my journal at least half a page a day and going to the temple just to be on the grounds or actually attending the temple. I only did that 5 weeks out of the 12 weeks. So I was less than half as good, but that's a lot better than before I started this project. I definitely saw progress in all of these categories versus not taking this class. I mean, of course, I could have done better in a lot of things, but I saw progress in every single category. And something that I learned about myself is that I'm a very 100% or 0% kind of person. Like if I'm doing something, I will get into it. And if I don't like what I'm doing, I will get out of it 100%. And so I found that about myself when right around October, when I just started getting a ton of no's and I started not liking it. When I don't do something, I really, really don't do something. And I really don't like doing it. And it's like an on or off for me. So I found a lot of benefit in doing this project, learning about myself. As far as like the effort that I put into this project, there were a lot of times where I didn't keep track of it per day. But as far as focusing on the big picture of why I thought I was doing this project, I feel like I gave a 10 out of 10 for sure. I feel like I thought about it every day and I was putting effort towards it every day. And I think that's what this class was looking for, was putting effort towards something per day and having accountability behind it and knowing what that feels like. It was a really good exercise in self-discipline for me. The one that I got the most out of was the Book of Mormon study. So I also ranked them. So one being the highest, as in like the most important for like the most beneficial for me. And that really strengthened my testimony of the Book of Mormon for sure. The other one was the temple, which is a shame that I didn't go as much as I wanted to. And for sure, there were a lot of things that were going on outside of this project that influenced me to not do it. And I wish I would have done better on that, because I noticed that whenever I did go to the temple, it was a lot better. Life was a lot better for sure. And the third most important to me, was working on my startup, which hopefully I can get an internship for this next semester, an entrepreneurial internship. So I'm really excited for that. I've put a lot of work into it, and it's something that I've been excited to do anyway. So of course I got 100% on it. The next one was exercise goals, at least 4 times a week. And that I feel like has been also an exercise in self-discipline and endurance, perseverance as well. When I'm running for like 30 minutes at a time and you want to give up and stop your goal and whatever, I just think of the times when outside of physical activity, I want to stop and I want to give up. And that has really crossed over in a weird way, beneficial physically and beneficial mentally and emotionally. I feel like as I ran and did my physical exercise goals, that my emotional, mental state improved in a weird way. So I really enjoyed that. But as far as the entire project as a whole, I really enjoyed this project a lot. I feel like it's one of the better learning experiences that I've had in college, just because I've learned so much about myself and I've been able to get a lot better at discipline and all of that. So yeah, that's mine so far.
Thanks, Chase.
Yeah.
Awesome. Do you want me to go now?
Yeah,
Or
go for it.
anyone? Okay, cool. So I'm on my phone right now, but I've got my computer next to me, so I won't be screen sharing mine. I actually thought, just as far as initial thoughts about the project, it was a project that I think I don't know. There were times when I hated to love it, and then there were times when I loved to hate it. It was just kind of weird because for the most part, I got everything done. Like, I made my goals super, super short, super easy, because I've done this kind of thing before, and I know that after a couple of months of doing them, you either drop off the bandwagon or you just stop caring. So, I mean, it's just a fact. Like, I'm a human. Like, anyway, so my I really wanted to become just a better person, and so my goals were kind of revolving around that. I wanted to become a better husband to my wife. I wanted to become closer to Christ. I wanted to further my career and just stay on track in that way. So my goals were like I split them up between daily and weekly. My daily goals were: did I complete all my homework assignments for the week or for the day? My next goal was: did I say I love you to my wife today? I know, super easy, but like it, it's kind of surprising how often that you may skip over that. Um, I also had: did I read the scriptures for at least 10 minutes today? And did I spend at least 10 minutes cleaning the house today? So, you know, it's like the small and little things add up over time. That's kind of my mentality for those. And then for my weekly goals, I had: did I complete my physical health goals this week, which was at a minimum of 2 times a week at the gym, lifting weights, because I can't do like 5 days in the gym lifting weights because I would probably just die. My heart would probably blow up. Um, and then did I attend church this week? I know that's kind of like a gimme, but I mean, it's fall and I'm not from Rexburg. I'm not from Idaho, so this cold weather thing just makes me not want to do anything. And I do tend to get seasonal depression because on my mission in Germany, I definitely got seasonal depression. I didn't even know it because, you hit November and everything is gray from November until like March. So that was that. And did I go on a date with my wife this week? So generally speaking, I did really well with those goals. So I was pretty happy about it. I just got into a good groove, and I pretty much got everything done um, up until this past week when my life imploded and I got sick and I like did not do anything. Like I legit did not leave my house from Monday until Saturday. So I didn't get anything done.
Wow.
It was horrible. Like, yeah, my grades took a solid hit, but I'm okay. Like, or I'm on the mend, so that's good. Um, let's see. Some of the no's I had were like just stupid things. Like in the beginning, I had a couple of no's, like unexcused mishaps where I just forgot to do stuff. And that's just, I guess, getting into the groove that I was working towards. And then I had a couple blips here and there for a couple of the weekly goals, but that was it as far as yeses and nos. I mean, it was pretty solid for the most part, and I like to think it's because I chose goals that were like almost too easy. I mean, I know that's kind of like a cop out, but um, I mean, after a while they do get a little difficult to do. Even close to the end of the semester, it's like, "Oh, I don't want to read my scriptures for like 10 minutes. Like I could be finishing that assignment, or I could be taking a nap because I haven't slept very well." So um I did actually follow through with my consequences. So like on some of the days where like I missed stuff, I mean, my consequence was that I was not allowed to play video games for 24 hours if I messed up. And I followed through with those because I was just so busy that my consequence was like, meh, don't really care because I'm not even going to be able to do that anyway. So what's the point? Um, so just sticking with my consequence, because I love video games, of no video games for 24 hours if I mess up, was pretty easy in that sense too. And so I think that's why that kind of worked well for that, because I knew, like, yeah, you want to make sure that your priorities are right and that video games aren't really that high on your priorities. So if you're missing your homework, then you should probably just not play video games that day. So I did kind of like a super easy, um, just logical way of selecting that one. Um, and then let's see. I really felt like I accomplished what I set out to accomplish in this assignment. In the beginning, I thought it's all about consistent. It's all about consistency. It's not about like the amount of effort I put into it. It's just about the consistency. And so, starting out on a bunch of, I guess a couple of these goals would be pretty new because I don't think I've ever had a goal that said, uh, "Say I love you" to my wife today. Um, but making that consistent, I think, really helped strengthen my marriage and my relationship. So I'm really glad with how that turned out. Same thing goes for reading the scriptures and even cleaning the house for just 10 minutes daily. That really helped with, I guess, feeling like, oh, hey, the dishes are done. Like, I feel pretty clean now. I don't know. That's just me. When things are dirty around my house, I tend to get like psychologically frustrated or mentally cluttered. Uh, that's just one of those things for me, but it really helped out in the long run. I could definitely tell a difference. As far as what I'd do in the future, I'd probably end up modifying this slightly and continuing this uh, on my own sheet, just because I like the goals and I like the accountability and I like being accountable to more than just myself and actually doing them because I can see the benefit of it. And I'll probably end up modifying the goals, but in the future, I do actually plan on using a system like this to make sure that, yes, I'm doing everything I need to do every single day so that, things don't slip through the cracks. Um, for me, on a scale of 1 to 10, um, as far as, I don't know, it's weird because my level of intensity for the project wasn't a 10. It was probably more like a 4 because I didn't need to put that much energy into it. But as far as the effort I put into making sure the project was done, I'd probably put myself at like an 8 just because I made sure that, I want to accomplish this. I want to get to that point. So, I don't know. I'd probably put myself at an 8 for the total overall effort because of course there are a few things I could do better, but that's beside the point. And what I really learned about accountability from this is that um, it really it really helps when you have more than one person. So I was accountable to Jace, and then I was also accountable to my wife. So it was nice when she looked over and she's like, "Did we go on a date this week yet?" I'm like, no. Where do you want to go tomorrow?" So that was kind of nice. It was just like a little nudge, like, "Hey, you forgot. Don't forget." But um, no, I really liked the way it was set up. The only thing that I didn't like about like the accountability project and accountability in general was other than the satisfaction or the result, there's no real like incentive to actually do it other than for like the grade and for the personal development, that kind of thing. There was no like mini reward to kind of keep you coming back for more. So it wasn't like, oh well, every time you say yes you get like, I don't know, a jelly belly or something like that. I mean they do that for like kids in preschool, but that same kind of like behavior reward thing works. um I don't know, maybe in the future I'll end up thinking about adding something like that for me. I just don't know what I do because I'm like a give an inch, take a mile kind of person. So I don't know if it'd work. It'd probably have to be implemented by my wife. Say, here's your jelly belly, no more. But yeah, that's pretty much it for my project. Um, it was difficult, but it wasn't like unbearable where I was like drowning. I didn't feel like I was drowning, which was good.
There's a couple things that I liked about it, Trevor. The first was that it was based in reality, that you were familiar with having done this before, that you kind of realized, there were small things you wanted to do consistently, and that was adequate. But I think the thing I liked the most was that you picked a consequence that was doable. That you're like, yep, that will just remind me I'm gonna, to get myself back in focus. Where I picked a consequence that put me in such a anxious place that I just was panicked when I was worried about not meeting my goals. And I think there's a lot of value in that what you did, that you can pick a consequence. It's like, hey, let this consequence put you back on track rather than scare the crap out of you,
Well, thanks.
Does anybody have any kind of closing thoughts? I know Tamara needs to wrap up here in just a couple minutes. Nobody.
Oh, no,
Yes.
I mean, I think the biggest thing is this making sure that you stick with it. I mean, there's the purpose to the accountability. I understand that, and like Trevor said, keep it simple and not overcomplicate it, so that you can succeed in what you're trying to do. Because we do that to ourselves as humans. I don't know why we do that. We set such high, lofty goals for ourselves, and then we beat ourselves up because then we don't meet the goal. And so keep it simple, and celebrate those successes, because we know we can do this. And then as the time goes on, then we can start setting those higher, loftier goals, because now we know that we can take care of this little thing here. Now we can start working our way up to where we really want to be. But it's got to start small and simple. I think that's the most important part.
Thanks, Tamara. Jay, do you have any final thoughts?
I just found myself learning a lot more things about how the body works, how the mind works, just by the practical use of it, and that was my biggest takeaway. So I learned that you can learn well while doing, and in a project like this, that kind of learning is very beneficial for me. So I hope to take that into the future.
Kind of learning about, it seems like we all learned about ourselves a bit.
Yeah.
And so it's been a good semester with this group. Thanks, you guys. It's
Sure.
nice to have a group meeting that I can look forward to and enjoy, and then move on without, it's like a no stress group. So it was nice to learn from you and grow from getting to know you guys, and wish you the best.
All right.
Yeah,
Thanks,
same.
Michelle.
Thanks.
Well,
Yep.
see ya. Bye-bye.
You guys have a great
Bye.
holiday. Yeah, bye-bye.
You too.